We are live. We are running the very first session of Beyond the Mountains of Madness for our group. I am very, very excited to run it for this wonderful group of players. We have a couple more that'll be coming on as we play. Uh, Looking forward to having them join us as well. But I'll just kind of introduce the players as we go around. Uh, First, we have French, good friend of mine. Uh, a great player, lives here local with me. I love getting a chance to play with him all the time. And then on the other hand, we have James, who I also love playing with, who's not so local a player. Well, depending on where he's at on the lam at the time, but but love getting to play with him whenever I get a chance. And then we have Rick, who is one of our voices of reason. I guess I want to say in the games more often than not.
The new
Um,
noob.
Exactly, but he sounds like he's talking a good game. He sounds very very convincing.
I consider it trivial blockage, but that's different.
You know, knowledge is knowledge. It's what you gain from it. Is what's important. Isn't that right, French? Knowledge is knowledge, right? Exactly. Um, and then last but not least for us today, we have Betty, a good local friend as well. Love seeing her in the game anytime we get a chance to play together. Um, we are getting ready to start the very first session of Beyond the Mountains of Madness. And in this session, basically, our characters are all going to meet up in New York and start making preparations for the expedition. There will be a lot of exposition in the beginning as we're kind of setting the stage for this, and we will basically start meeting everybody like in the lobby of the hotel in New York as we start going in. From when we start the game, you guys basically an initial interview with James Starkweather and William Moore, the two leaders of the expedition, that are a really great group of people themselves. They make a good duo. They make a good team. James Starkweather is an explorer himself. He's been in the news a lot. He's kind of a glory hound. Um, like seeing his name splash on the paper, big headlines. Any press is good press as far as James Starkweather is concerned. Um, very flamboyant, very out there, very extra kind of a person. Um, and then we have William Moore, who is the more staid, more cerebral. He's the academic sort. He is a professor at Miskatonic. He has a lot of contacts out there, like amongst you players, characters and stuff like that. That brings the academic, the respectable side of the expedition together. Uh, he can get the people, the personnel that Starkweather needs to do this expedition. And we are starting this in 1933. I think we're leaving in September of 1933. We are basically going through. Well, I'll post uh, like basically a newspaper article you would have that you probably saw before you were actually contacted by by them and gotten involved with them to play this do this expedition. Let's see. Give me just a second to throw this out there. Let's see. Hopefully I'll get this large enough that everybody can read it. Let's see. Share. Two. Wow. Well, if I'm going to get that large enough for everybody to read it. If you click on the bottom right, for some of you that don't know this system, this platform, you look, fish around the bottom right of the viewable screen, you will see a blow up area that takes away some of the other controls, but lets you get a good view of the screen. But let's see, James, can you read that? Do you want to read it for us?
Oh, gee, thanks.
You're welcome.
Antarctica or bust. Renowned adventurer sets his sights on the bottom of the world. New York, Associated Press. World-famous explorer James Starkweather announced today that he would lead a party of scientists and explorers into uncharted parts of the Antarctic continent this fall. Starkweather, accompanied by geologist William Moore of Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts, intends to continue along the trail first blazed by the ill-fated Miskatonic University expedition of 1930-31. The Starkweather-Moore expedition will set sail in September from New York City. Like their predecessors, they intend to use long-range aircraft to explore further into the South Polar wilderness, as has never been done before. This will not be about the South Pole, Starkweather explained this morning in a prepared speech in his hotel in New York. Many people have been to the pole. We're going to places where no one has ever been. See and do things that no one alive has seen. The expedition intends to spend only 3 months in Antarctica. Extensive use of aeroplanes for surveying and transport, according to Starkweather, will allow the party to chart and cover territory in hours that would have taken weeks to cross on the ground. One goal of the expedition is to find the campsite of the last resting place of the 12 men led by Professor Charles Lake, who first discovered the Miskatonic Range, and who were killed by an unexpected storm. The mapping and climbing of the mountains in that range and an aerial survey of the lands on the far side are also important goals. The peaks are tremendous, Starkweather explained, the tallest mountain in the world. It's my job to conquer those heights and bring home their secrets for all mankind. We have the finest equipment money can buy. We cannot help but succeed. Starkweather, 43, is a veteran of the Great War. He has led expeditions into the wilderness on 4 continents and was present on the transpolar flight of the airship Italia, whose crash near the end of the voyage on the North Polar ice cap received worldwide attention. Moore, 39, a full professor of geology, is also the holder of the Smith Chair of Paleontology at Miskatonic University. He has extensive field experience in harsh climates and has taken part in the expedition to both the Arctic and the Himalayan plateau.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much for.
Did I pass my eye test?
You totally did. especially for this. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, basically get more interview from them. Like you're all are walking into the Amherst Hotel, which is a nice hotel as hotels go in downtown New York. I mean, it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it's up there. You know, it's a pretty upscale hotel. You guys know you all are going to be checking in on like the 8th floor. You guys have different rooms that you'll be checking in on the 8th floor. All of your various characters. We won't be playing both characters at the same time. Like basically, we'll pick one that's going to be suitable for this adventure, and then go with it. And like so, and then the other one have a back seat. I know everybody's got 2 characters. It's basically because we're playing the old school 7th Ed. We're not doing Pulp Fiction, and there's a very high probability at the end that people are going to die. If you want to continue, you're going to need another character. So rather than stopping and having to make character and stuff like that, well, this guy's in the group, or this person's in the group. They can jump right in and take over another spot. So you all are in the lobby, walking in, and you're seeing like Starkweather again having a big like interviews kind of session with some reporters there in the lobby. There's it's that classic traditional oak paneled kind of beautiful gilt lobby, flash bulbs are flaring everywhere from reporters, and people are scrambling at him for interview questions and stuff like that. And he's over there just giving his fiery speech, kind of does about the expedition, getting a lot of making sure that the press is going full speed ahead with the expedition. But yeah, he goes into it, and he does speak with like a British accent. I kind of want to say sort of like an early Cary Grant, before he started adapting a more American accent, but not like full blown British accent, but in there, like I think more Cary Grant.
Sort of like he went to private school.
Exactly. Probably kicked out of the best private schools, but yeah. But definitely has that accent, But he's giving the interviews and stuff like that. People are asking, well, why are you doing the expedition and stuff? This has already been done, and why are you going there? So he's explaining. He's like, we're going back. The job's not done. We're going back, and we're going to finish what was started and bring the whole lot out to the world. It will be a grand adventure and a glorious page in scientific history. And he kind of motions over towards Professor Moore, who's sitting kind of quietly, like cleaning his glasses. Every time you see him, he like takes his glasses off and cleans them. That's basically his signature kind of move. But he also has a little bit of the limelight here while he is talking with the reporters, but it's mostly Stark's show. But yeah, he kind of gives the stage a little bit to Moore. But yeah, Moore looks up from his notepad there, his ever-present notepad, and says a lot has changed in the past 3 years. We have technology now that did not exist 3 years ago. The airplanes are better. We got the brand new Boeing aircraft, sturdier and safer than ever before. Professor Pavodi's drills have been improved. We have Lake's own broadcasts to draw upon. We can plan ahead with better materials and the knowledge of the region that none of them had when prepared for their voyage. Yes, I am optimistic, quite optimistic. We will succeed in our goals. And so the reporters are asking him, it's like, what are the goals? And the two are kind of looking at each other, a little bit like, you going to tell them? I'm going to tell them. It's really kind of weird. They're talking to you, they're looking at each other, but what the goals are doing, to get on the expedition, how they're going to accomplish the expedition. And Starkweather jumps back forward and he says, "We're going to leapfrog, gentlemen. We shall leapfrog across the continent. A base in the Ross Ice Shelf, another at the South Pole, one at Lake's old campsite, if we could find it. And then, gentlemen, we plan to cross over those fantastic mountains described by Dyer and Lake and plant our instruments and our flag right on the top of the high plateau. Imagine it, like the landing strip atop Everest. So we'll have the finest equipment and skilled men, geologists, paleontologists." And he's looking at, see, you guys, oh boy, there's some of our people right there. And he's motioning you guys through the crowd to come through the press. The press of the press, the actual, and he's motioning you all to come through. He's like, "Well, I'll introduce some of these people." He says, he's like, and he points at French's characters. He's like, "Introduce yourselves to the press, gentlemen."
Hello, everybody. I'm George Founder. I will be the surgeon here. I have was employed with the Navy for quite some time, and I look forward to the work here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thank you for being with us, George. Well, yes, of course, every good team needs a good doctor to watch after their well-being, and we very much welcome George's training to the expedition. And he says, "Is that Fred I see over there behind you?"
Oh, and you see a very large, Fred is a much larger man than George. Kind of George's a little slight, kind of muscular, but as you can see, but he's not quite anything close to Fred. Fred is a probably about 6'3", 6'4", and looks like a kind of a large refrigerator.
Wow.
As far as in built. And he kind of waves, goes, "Yep, I'll be working the mining equipment. Looking forward to that. Just recently came in from West Virginia. I'm not originally from there, though, of course. Can you, hey, yeah, stop taking a picture.
This is a flash,
Yeah.
pop,
Yeah.
pop.
Yeah. Get on my face. Go talk.
And Starkweather takes that cue and he moves right past, right along. he's like, I think I recognize Professor Patton. Isn't that right there, Professor Moore? And he goes, yes, Professor Patterson, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Professor Patterson from the Farmingham Normal School. And I'm here to help keep the scientific method valid.
Yes, of course. Yes, excellent. Yes, science is the purpose of this expedition.
He's showing up as the debunker. I mean,
Excuse me, this is Harold Henderson with the New York Times. And what field of science are you in, Professor?
I am a geologist by trade.
Very good. Sure, there'll be lots of good stuff to look at down there. Lots of rocks.
Lots of rocks. A lot of icy, cold rocks.
They're all over the world. It's amazing.
And that person behind you there, Professor Patterson, who, Mr. Oliver Smith.
It's Smith, and I'm the radio man, and I'm going to make sure that the world knows everything that happens.
Oh, yes, you'll be broadcasting our exploits. Can't think of a more important job, except for maybe the surgeon and the geologist. And everybody's important. Everybody's important. so
and
yeah.
You just made a Bolshevik, sir.
Everybody's important. Jason and Patrick, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Sure. Hello, reporters. I'm Jason McAllister, professor of archaeology with the Miskatonic University. I've been working there, and I deal mainly into recently with the ancient civilizations here in the Americas. But I was selected to go on this voyage of exploration, and I think it would be a good addendum to the things I've been studying. And Patrick Henderson, standing next to him, says, "Well, hello everyone. I'm Patrick Henderson. Originally from North Dakota, moved up to Alaska, where I've been, guiding scientists and other people on trips up there to explore or just have a good time."
Oh, okay.
And I like hunting and things like that. I don't think there's a lot of stuff to be hunting down in the Antarctic, but if there needs to be, I can, help the expedition.
I hear those penguins can get up to almost 3 feet. So yeah, fearsome creatures indeed. Indeed. All right, excellent. And then we have a lady with us here, Maxine. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, doll, you can call me Max. And I'll make sure all these boys get where they're going. So I'm in charge of the plane and the transportation. And then I'm also in charge of all of the fun. So it's a good thing we got a broadcaster coming along.
Ladies and gentlemen, our very own Amelia Earhart, Maxine Carter. And then is that Hank there behind you, Maxine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's Dimples. Come on, Dimples. So Hank is a big burly guy, kind of has he's large frame like Fred, not quite as tall as Fred, about a even 6 foot, and but real rugged and a full thick black beard. And Hank just kind of awkwardly walks forward. He's like, I'm Hank. I like the outdoors, and I'm going to make sure they stay alive. And he'll just step back.
It gets that weird, like awkward, almost pin drop kind of silence after, like record scratch kind of silence after that.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, and then Starkweather's like, yes, it's important. It's important to try to find Professor Lake's camp and to find and to bring home whatever he can we can from the caverns he discovered. The prospect of a whole newly kind of life, a different taxonomy, is extremely exciting, and would be a shame if, having found it once, we were unable to do so again. And then basically, like, he's like, the interview's over. I got to talk with our people and get things settled. We'll meet back with you all tomorrow morning. And everybody's like, oh, trying to ask more questions, but they're shuffling you all through like a set of elevators. There's like 4 elevators, and they're just like cramming you guys into like 2 of them, along with Professor Moore and James Starkweather. James is in like one with a bunch of you, and William Moore's in the other. So we can automatically start to separate our teams from like the academics to the more lay people professions. So you guys can start finagling towards which ones.
Patrick leans over to Hank and says, "Hey, Hank, you ever think the idea of having a leader of an expedition with the name of Starkweather is a great choice when we're going down to the Antarctic?"
Hey, these wealthy types, like, as long as they got the green man, whatever. I'll call you whatever.
Yeah, I know. They don't seem to be bothered about how much money they spend on these expeditions.
I know. Did you know this coat cost $200? And I'm giving him a wink.
Nice.
Any legal tender with a white man in the center.
So yeah, they start to deposit you on the 8th floor, where you guys can go. They give you keys to like your own individual rooms, and on the 8th floor, so you guys can go and settle your stuff together. But they ask for you to meet up with them on the 15th floor, closer towards the top, which is they've got like the entire 15th floor rented out as well, basically for like Starkweather, Moore, some of the more higher up people in it, and then like offices. Like they've set up like a full blown office on the 15th floor to do a lot of the work. And there's even more reporters and stuff like that there. More of the ones who are invited, past the velvet rope kind of a deal. They basically, when you guys get everything settled in your rooms, you go up, and it's not as chaotic as it was down in the lobby. These are probably more like magazine people, writers of that sort, not quite as sensational as like the newspapermen and women of the time. But they're more relaxed, and they're sitting in lounge chairs and stuff like that. And, smoking cigars and having a few drinks and talking, swapping lies and stuff like that. They know each other's, work and stuff like that. And they're, ragging each other about an article that they wrote, a week ago or something like that. Look magazine or something like that. But they are interested in you when you guys come up, and they ask you very, very similar questions to what was going on down below. Basically ask you to introduce yourselves again. You kind of give them the same kind of a story, blah 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 blah. But before too long, you are grabbed by pardon me, couple people, a couple of staffers, and brought back into William Moore's office, and set a suite of rooms that are set aside for like his bedroom, his room and his office, kind of a deal. And he gets together with you all. He says, I congratulate you all on making it to New York and seizing the opportunity of this great expedition. I'm very, very glad to have all of you here. He says, we are still gathering people. People will be getting together over the next week or so. We plan to ship out in 2 weeks, but right now we're still gathering people and personnel, materials and personnel. And he's getting together. He's like, we're actually kind of in a bit of a bind. He looks a little conspiratorially towards the door, and he's like listens towards the door to see if there's any reporters on the other side, doing anything like doing their spy kind of a thing. And he says we've had information that there's going to be 2 other expeditions that are happening close to the same time, and we're going to be in Antarctica. He says there's going to be a German expedition, a German-led expedition, and then there's going to be another American expedition started by the Acacia Lexington, and he talks about her for a little bit. He says, very very lovely woman, very 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 much a woman of adventure herself. Has decided for whatever reason, I don't know why, has decided to start her own expedition to Antarctica. She just, as a matter of fact, announced it today. Hoping to get some more information on that myself through the reporters and certain people I have around to try to find out what's going on there. But we kind of have an ace in the hole ourselves that we're going to spring on the people tomorrow, on the news people tomorrow. It's going to make big headlines. We're really really excited. He says, but we found out that Commander J.B. Douglas, who was the captain of the original expedition, or the captain of the ship on the original expedition, he'll be joining us. He'll be running the boat, our boat on the expedition. So we're very very excited to have him with us. We've been in talks with him for a while to do it. He was very reluctant to do it at first, but finally we have managed to persuade him to lead the actual voyage to Antarctica in the boat that we're taking, the Gabrielle, the SS Gabrielle. He says we're very very excited to announce him tomorrow. So that's all very very hush hush, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep that to yourself till we announce that tomorrow to the press. As a matter of fact, we were hoping that and he looks at like I believe it was Oliver Smith. Is that correct? So I believe you're a follower of his work, isn't that correct?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. I was hoping that maybe if you'd be interested in picking him up at the train station and bringing him here tomorrow for his first press interview.
Sure.
Excellent. I'm sure he'd be glad to see you, and you to see him as well. Very excited for that to happen. Excellent. So we have several things that need to be done. A lot of like batting down the hatches, so to speak, sort of jobs that need to get done before we can, actually say, we are 100% ready for his expedition. We have a lot of material and stuff like that needs to be gathered. We're actually wondering if we can get your help to kind of get a leg up on some of this stuff.
Sure.
Excellent. So he looks at you all. He has like this big clipboard of sheets and papers, and he's going through this list of sheets and papers. He's like, I'm going to list off some tasks that need to be done. If anything sounds good to you that you want to volunteer for, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll volunteer you for something. But he's going through his list and talking through his list. So he says our entire aircraft crew, including Maxine, you got to jump on the rest of the crew, but there's a bunch of our three Boeing 247s 747 our Boeing 247s are in Trenton. Need to be flown over here from Trenton and disassembled and put in a hold. Maxine, can I trust you to get that done? Since you were here first.
Absolutely. I can't fly two at once, but yeah, I'll get on
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you can meet the other two flyers out there in Trenton and get them flown over here. Exactly. We have a mechanic that's there at Trenton, kind of keeping an eye on the planes at the time. Miles, he's our resident mechanic. He's a bit of a worrier, but I'm sure you find a way to work with him and get these planes up and ready to go into the hold. Then there's a bunch of delicate scientific instruments and glassware that really couldn't be trusted with like your normal everyday stevedore. Some delicate stuff that we want people that have the technical knowledge of how to handle this stuff to be able to handle them. I want to make sure that those are stowed away safely on the ship and strapped and in such a careful manner that they won't be damaged, because once we're there, we're there. We're not going anywhere else. There's not like we can send out for this stuff. So is there anybody that wouldn't mind looking over that part of the aspect? Anybody else? Anybody want looking into these these scientific instruments, glassware, measuring devices, stuff like that?
Are you talking about looking at them or making sure they're packed in securely?
Make sure that they are intact before they go on the ship. Make sure everything's okay, and then make sure that they're stowed on the ship safely.
I mean, I could check in on the packing. It's probably not much a difference than loading up a couple of mules and stuff. But
well, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I could do that too. I mean,
Professor Patterson?
No, Oliver.
Oliver, okay. So yeah. I mean, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. We can get a start on it today. That would be great. As a matter of fact, I didn't say what time you guys came in. I'm sorry. It is like early morning, so you guys have like a day to do some of this. Get a start on some of this. But yeah, again, so just making sure that everything's arrived here intact, operable, and is ready to be, and like supervise where they're going on the boat. Don't just dump them in the forecastle and go, okay, it's going to be safe there.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, you didn't have to deal with Chaplin and Garbo's China they brought up to Fairbanks and wanted to take up to the range. So yeah, I think we can do it. I'm not sure if Hank, you want to help out. I'm sure you know how to stow away stuff correctly.
Yeah, I'll help out.
You got three good guys here. We'll take care of it.
He's a man of many words.
Excellent. And then finally, the expedition's dogs need to be settled into cages on the number 5 between deck hold. The cages are large, sturdy, solid wooden boxes with some barred fronts, custom made to hold the Huskies comfortably on the long voyage south.
We're putting them there now, 2 weeks before we even leave.
No, we need to get the cages installed and make sure that they're
cages.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think you want to keep the dogs down there any longer.
Lord, no, thank you. Yeah, no, we want to make sure that the cages and stuff are installed safely and they won't, get knocked over or anything like that, or over some possible rough seas or anything like that. Want to make sure that everything in there gets bolted in safely. We would like some of our more, like our guide team people or our survival team people to kind of watch over those cages and make sure that they get packed in on the hold right to where it's safe, for the cages and of course the dogs. We don't want anything to happen to the dogs.
Hinkle actually raised the hand. He goes, you know what? I'd be better off doing that. I might break something with all that glassware. but dogs, I know. I can handle that.
Okay. That's fair. That'll work. All right. So yeah. You're getting all that together. He's like, we can get a good start on that. We have a lot of a lot of this oddball stuff that always seems to spring up in the middle of this, these kind of expeditions, to just get those things kind of battened down by competent experts that know. What is that background noise? I don't know what that is, but it's a possession or something in the house, maybe. But
You got a poltergeist.
Exactly. But yeah, we want some competent professional people that know how to handle these things to make sure that they're done right, so we don't have to worry about them on the voyage, or God forbid, once we end up on the ice and there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, if you guys can look into those things, that'll be great. So yeah, they divvy up the jobs to you guys. So again, let me just kind of go through the list again. We had the ships, like Maxine is going to go and help get the ships in with the other crew people. Is anybody going to go with her, even if they can't fly?
Actually, Fred can operate heavy machinery pretty damn well.
Okay.
So he would be kind of into that, or anything that's required things to be moved or lifted and put places. He could probably do fairly well.
Got it. Help them in the disassembly and getting them craned into the ship safely. Yeah,
he can do that.
That definitely works. All right. So they get that together, and so we have Maxine and Fred doing that, and then the scientific equipment. I believe we have, who was it? Was it Jason? Jason
James
and Professor
Patrick.
Yeah. But was it Professor Patterson and Jason, or Smith and Jason doing the scientific instruments?
I think Smith was coming along also, so there's three of us.
Okay. All right. And then the dogs, it's going to be handled by Hank. And who else? I think just Hank.
Anybody else want to help with the dogs?
I mean, George would be concerned about his infirmary, but he would be more than happy to help with the dogs if he needs to.
Your infirmary, we didn't really expose any more than just our very brief introduction to the press. But do we want to spend a little time, like, getting everybody a look of what our characters look like and stuff like that? Do we want to do that? I'm fine with that.
Sure.
Got it. Let's spend a little time getting everybody to know our crew. So yeah, let's start from the top down. George and Fred, you want to give like their appearance? Anything?
So George is pretty meticulous. He was a Navy officer. This is something that probably he would not necessarily volunteer this information, but probably some background to him. He lost his family in a fire when he was underway in the Mediterranean. Kind of ever since then, he's kind of he kind of retired early from the Navy since then, and is kind of meandered around taking kind of pseudo dangerous jobs, or like kind of jumping onto expeditions, and he would go to Africa, and he's kind of a little unhinged. He's very polite, very nice. Sometimes he may talk to his dead wife, and he at times will perhaps maybe talk to or gesture towards his children that have not been with him for a while. So he's a bit off. But he's very polite, very nice, and other than being a little suffering from severe depression, he's fine.
Got it.
Fred, also he has He's from Detroit. Really a big fan of Hank Greenberg, and he has a Hank Greenberg signed baseball, which his son actually caught when he was there, and he keeps that with him whenever he is. Fred is kind of a good old boy from Pennsylvania. Kind of goes where the work is, and has a very simple outlook on life. You work hard, you make a living, get your hands dirty, and you'll be just fine. Pretty much he's going on the expedition because it pays really well. And he can't actually believe how much he's actually getting for this. And he's more than happy to join. But he is not the brightest rut. He's pretty smart, but he's not necessarily what I would say. But he's very focused in his intelligence.
Got it. Okay. So he's brilliant in his own aspect, but
yeah, I mean, if it has to do with like mining equipment or how to repair them or things like that, yep. But if you start talking to him about like, who is the new chancellor of Germany, he will have no idea what you're talking about, and he also doesn't care.
You know that weird guy looks like Chaplin?
Yeah. He has no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, and he is also kind of a very angry person. So he can get riled up fairly easily. And he usually will lash out in a violent manner if he's pushed. And that's Fred.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, that's a good introduction. Get a good glimpse of into those two people. James, you want to talk a little more about Professor Patterson and Oliver Smith?
So Professor Patterson is he's a elegant, tan, thin man.
Okay.
He's weathered because he spends a lot of time outdoors, conveniently finding rocks wherever he goes. But he is you get the vibe from him that he's not the biggest fan of William Moore, and he or maybe his university, and you have a feeling that there's going to be some interesting conversations on this trip between the two.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And he's got a mixed air of excitement because of what he wants to achieve, it seems. As if he's ready for verbal scrap. But he's not really hitting you as invested in the venture.
Got it.
Meanwhile, Oliver Smith, he's tanned as well. He's brawny. He's a bit stuffy though. He's learned radio in the Merchant Marine. And he seems to be a very ambitious young man, and he is got a vested interest in this this undertaking. And when he was given the chauffeurian job of picking up someone, you saw him get a perk up and maybe a little fashizzle in his step, because this really sits with him well.
Okay. Cool. I dig that. I like the interaction between that's going to happen between Patterson and Moore. That's going to be fun to watch. Cool. All right, Jason and Patrick.
Um, Jason McAllister, late 30s, around 5'10", 180 pounds, brown hair, green eyes, gray eyes actually. Grew up in New York in the Allegheny area. His father owned a large apple orchard, and as he grew up, his father would hire some men and women from the local native reservation. And so as he grew up, he made friends with them and learned of their culture and realized that the world is a big place, a lot bigger than just that part of New York, obviously. And he was always interested in the men telling him of the stories of the tribes and civilizations. And so it grew into him, and he started studying more about the Aztecs and the Incas, and decided he wanted to become an archaeologist. He did really well in school, and his father was helping him to get to Miskatonic University, where he started his education. But then the war started up, and for a few years, um, he was assigned to a cryptography branch in London for the army. But when he came back, he finished working on his degree. He's been on a number of expeditions up into Upper Canada, Northwest Territories, Alaska, and his most recent one was actually in Greenland, um, near in the Upper North region. Um, but basically, that allowed him to have a lot of the skills and attributes that would be needed for a journey to the south, to the Antarctic. You know, but basically, he does try to be a person that helps others, and he believes that science and understanding the past will build a better future. And it was on one of these expeditions that he actually met um, Patrick Henderson. He was a guide, and Patrick himself was actually born in North Dakota near Grand Forks to a family of Canadian immigrants. His great grandparents moved over, and they have a nice farm there. But the thing that he loved the most was being in the outdoors. And if you ever been to, as he always says, you ever been to North Dakota, you can see forever. Yeah. And so he started heading north. And by the time the war started, he was actually in Alaska, trapping and guiding. But then he started helping the Alaska Territorial Police and the Canadian Mounties um, in doing tracking and surveying in case there was any saboteurs or Germans or Bolsheviks trying to come into Alaska or up into different parts of Canada. But overall, he's always enjoyed being in the outdoors, and little by little, he started getting bigger expeditions and working with universities. And he met up with Jason on one expedition into up near um, Bear Lake up in Northwest Territories, but then he also helped out on an expedition to Greenland. And so when he was offered the chance um, by his contact at the Miskatonic University Museum, he agreed to come on this expedition and work with some friends and explore a new place. Because
Cool.
one of the things he wants, one of his ideas of life is always wants to see what's over the next hill.
What's on the next horizon? Very, very
Yeah.
cool. I dig that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, so we have follow up with Maxine and Hank.
All right. So let me start with Maxine. All right. So Maxine is not real big. She's about 5'2", very petite frame. She is 31, but it does have a darker complexion with dark hair. So, and she is quite striking actually. Maxine actually grew up with in Chicago. Her mother was a actress, and her father was a pilot. And Maxine's mother actually died in a theater fire when she was about a year old. So Carl, her father, raised her on his own, but he Maxine went everywhere with him. So she was always hanging around the hangar bays. She was always, getting dirty and muddy and rolling around. She was never a girly girl. And by the time she was 10 years old, she was sitting in her dad's lap flying planes. So as she got older, reality sunk in, and she realized that not all guys were as open-minded as her father, and her love was flying. So in order to be able to get a job, she actually there was a gentleman that came to one of the hangar bays in Chicago where her dad used to hang out. And she was kind of skulking around, and she overheard the gentleman talking about they were looking for pilots willing to, fly expeditions in Alaska. And a light bulb went off. He's like, I can't do it here, but I can do it there. So packed up her bags, what little she owned, and she took off to start a new life in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Cool.
So there she met up with Hank. So Hank Sawyer actually spent part of his childhood in Alberta, Canada. He has 5 brothers and his parents. His father was fought in World War I, but when he came home, his dad was never quite able to handle being around crowds or populated areas. So he packed up the whole family and they all moved to Alaska. And Hank has been growing up around the rugged wilderness. His dad likes to hunt and just go out into the wilderness, for days at a time. And as soon as he was old enough, he would start going with him. So that's how he learned. Plus, Hank growing up around that area made a lot of friends with some of the locals. And so he's picked up on some of the local customs and lore of Alaska. And Hank and Maxine both, I believe, have worked with Patrick before on an expedition.
Yeah, because I actually live in Fairbanks now. Also, is my home. So yeah,
Yep.
I've known each other, especially you being a pilot.
Yep. And so Hank is like I said earlier, big burly guy, quiet. He loves nature. He loves outdoors. He grew up in the wilderness, so he really doesn't see the need for polite society. He doesn't get a lot of the social cues. But he's pretty straightforward.
So does Hank want to go to the Stork Club with us tonight?
Party it up. Excellent. So let's see. We have a couple things going on, all kind of simultaneously, kind of today. So basically, before you guys even go to do like your odd jobs and stuff for today, which is going to take most of your afternoon to at least get sorted and stuff like that. But in the morning, they wanted, since you all are here, to go ahead and start fitting you for your Arctic gear and have like our doctor, it could be George, it could be one of the other doctors on the expedition, to give a physical of the people and personnel and make sure they're able to undergo this rigorous sort of expedition. So, yeah, George, do you want to do that, or would this be something like one of the other doctors on the crew would take care of? It's like basically another you would be the head of it with being a surgeon, but might be like an overall like general doctor.
Yeah, I mean, if he could actually probably pawn that off on somebody else, he probably would.
That's yeah. I mean, yeah, you're a surgeon. You're a skilled person.
Yeah.
Highly skilled person. This sounds like something for a general practitioner. Exactly.
This is why all modern surgeons now have physician assistants.
Exactly. Exactly. True that. So yeah, you kind of talk your way out of that. You're like, I'm gonna go ahead and do my do my fittings and stuff like that. But you got that. Let me introduce you to let's see, one of the other doctors that's going to be here. Give me just a moment. Just want to kind of go through our album, our yearbook of people here. Yeah, Dr. Richard Green, who is our normal, everyday physician. He would be your physician's assistant. He's ordinary enough looking chap. He's like, yes, of course, I'll be glad to take care of the physicals for everybody. He's like, let's go ahead and start with you, doctor. He says, we'll go ahead and get things taken care of. I'll go through the chart, and basically, what I need from you is like a decent con roll. Give me a con roll for each of your characters and see how you do.
All right. I need to. Usually, I have roll 20s.
Oh, you don't have real dice with you?
Let me
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that this doesn't have a dice thing.
It does not have a dice, but Google has a great dice roller.
Yeah, they do.
So I'm going to use that.
That'll work.
So I'll get D100, correct?
Yes. And roll that versus your constitution for each of your characters.
Yeah. All right. That would be an 11.
Holy crap. So flying colors for the position.
My con, yeah. That is extreme success. I am incredibly healthy. What was the other one?
For your same roll for Fred.
Oh, okay. That'd be a 31 for Fred. And Fred's con, yeah. So it's still pretty good. Still pretty good.
All right. Yeah, you pass.
Yep,
I mean, basically, we're just looking for a pass.
Yep.
All right, and then we'll just go on down the line. Professor Patterson, make your con roll, please.
Okie dokie. He did not.
So we're gonna suggest a certain diet plan for you, and maybe a little more exercise and stuff on the deck on our voyage. How bad was it? Was it like a critical fail?
Oh, no. It's a 63 out of 50.
Oh, yeah. You're a little out of breath. When he asks you to do the run in place kind of thing or whatever. But he's like, yeah, you're not horrible. But yeah, we're going to suggest an exercise regimen. Perhaps I'll watch your diet a little closely these next couple of weeks and trim a little bit of that off of you. We'll get you in fighting trim. No problem.
And in his mind, the expedition is full of quacks. But anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. As you both are puffing on cigarettes during the
Chesterfields all the way, baby.
during the examination. Exactly. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Ot 6.
Ot 6. Excellent. All right. So
he missed it by 1. No.
Whoa.
No, he made it by a lot.
Excellent. He's done very, very well. He is in good shape. Excellent. Jason and Patrick, please.
Okay, Patrick first. 53 out of 60. Or that's the other one, yeah. So it's 53 out of 50 actually on him.
53 out of 50. So a little bit. He's a little concerned for you.
Yeah, it's all these cars and stuff, all the smoke and stuff you're belching
That's
out
what
of
it
the
is
around here. Can't even breathe here.
Yeah, he's a little concerned for you, but yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be, we'll watch you. We'll watch you.
Yeah. And 26 out of 60 for Jason.
Okay, excellent. Good job.
Yeah,
Good
I
job.
eat an apple every day.
Nothing wrong with that. And then Maxine and Hank, you make your con rolls, please.
All right. So let me see. Hank will go first. So that's a 27 out of a 60. So that is pretty
Really
sweet
good.
success.
Sounds like at least a hard success. Yeah.
Yep. And
I
then
love it. Paper dolls.
Yep.
Right. I like how the model has a monocle too. Isn't that the best?
And then let's see, Maxine, and you said we're doing Constitution, right?
Exactly.
So Maxine rolled a 69 out of 70.
So there's a little bit of cough in there at the end, and you cut down a little bit, Maxine. Try to bring it under a pack a day, and we'll probably be all right.
Well, you missed our role playing opportunity there for that doctor to say, "Are you sure you want to come with your feminine nature and everything?"
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's
Maxine would have had something to say about that.
awful thin air. I'm just I'm a little concerned. Awful thin air up there. That's all I can say. But yeah, but they start to take measurements and stuff like that from you. You're going through the whole rigmarole of like getting your sleeves and your pants legs and stuff measured, and for all the different Arctic gear which is laid out here for you. All the different kind of things that they'll have. So that's just a sampling of some of the gear that you'll be asked to look after and maintain and stuff like that. There's like seal boots and several layers of Arctic clothing. So yeah, all that fun stuff. So you spend most of the rest of the afternoon getting suited up for that, and then like you get to like pick which materials you like better for your Arctic clothing. Do you like wool, or what works? Are you allergic to wool? That kind of stuff like that. Wool can be thinner and it's warmer, but it definitely is more itchy. Whereas cotton, we have to basically triple up with cotton and then fur. But yeah, we get you guys geared up, and you're all set together there to have your different Arctic gear. So yeah, we're spending like the rest of you catch like the afternoon train, Maxine, and I think it was George who's going to go check on the trains, or Fred. I forgot.
It's Fred.
Fred. So Maxine and Fred take the train to Trenton, to where the airfield is, to get those planes in, and be able to fly them in closer into the city, and get them on some trucks and stuff like that moved in to the docks area. So we'll do that scene first. So yeah, you take the train out to Trenton. It's not that big of a deal, except unless you've never been on a train before, then it's a big deal. But
at that time, I think everybody of our professional level has been on a train.
I would say so. Yeah, it's almost it's like the standard sort of travel at the time, even more so than a car. I would think is the train. So yeah, you take the train out to Trenton, and you're going out to like the airfield out in Trenton to pick up the planes. And right off the bat, you notice that you're short. You see two of the 247s, the Boeing 247s, but you don't see the third. And you're like, what?
Didn't he say 3 of these babies?
He said 3.
3.
Said 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
See the big crate in the hangar? Some assembly required.
So, yeah, you're out on the airfield, kind of looking over things. You see other aircraft and stuff there as well. But, you're specifically looking for, I saw count 1 247, 2 247, but not 3 247s, Boeing 247s. So you're looking for it, and you're not seeing it, and you have a very, very nervous Miles, who's comes running out of like one of the hangars. He sees you all out there on the airfield, and Miles is one of the main mechanics for y'all's expedition. He comes out there and he's like mopping his. It's August. It's the very end of August. You guys are leaving September 14th, so it's hot. It's super duper hot in New York. This is before AC, so it's like uncomfortable. Hot. But he's coming out of there and he's mopping his head with a like an oily mechanic's rag like you do. He's got like coveralls. He's always wearing coveralls, kind of video mechanics kind of coveralls. Has one of those like the jug head, kind of like the crown hats. I'm not sure exactly what they were called, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They were called awesome.
I know, right? Like the beanies with like the different points on it. Yeah, I love the Jughead hat. So he's coming. Yeah, he's coming out there with that, and he's chomping on his cigar. He's like, Miss Carter, I'm very sorry, dear. We seem to have a problem here.
You're right, we do. I thought, look, I see. There's one plane. There's two planes. That's the problem. There's two planes. Where's the other plane?
Two planes. I know.
So Fred is standing behind her because he's like 6'5", 6'6", and he's like standing like this and kind of having his head kind of like cocked over a little bit.
He's not pleased. Nice. So he says, so here's the issue. He says, so in the flight over to here from Wichita, one of the planes had a little bit of trouble, and it had to make a dip in the Hudson, and it might not be back in time.
Did you just say it went in the Hudson?
In the Hudson. It overshot the mark, and it's in the Hudson.
But I'm sure you know your job, so
yeah, I don't think we're going. I don't think we're going to get that plane back. He said, but I have been working on a couple things here for you, and Mr. Starkweather and Dr. Moore. He says, you see those other two planes over there, and he points at two other planes. One's much of a like a bulkier sort. They're where these are, the Boeing's has two engines, a twin engine. There's two other ones out there that are both monoplanes. One is very small, like a scout type sort of craft. It's a Fairchild. It's a Fairchild FC2W. It's a single engine. It's a good scout craft. He says, it don't carry a lot of weight, but it would be good for like, to be scouting out new places and stuff to go to. He says, and then there's also that other plane out here, the Northrop Delta, and it's a much sturdier plane, but it's also a mono wing. Give me just a moment. Much more bulkier sort of craft. Let me get a better picture of that. Sorry, but it's got skis. It comes with skis. It's already been modified. He says, actually, I think Miss Lexington is supposed to be picking up this ship, this plane, but she hasn't. She's not coming till tomorrow to make the purchase. Maybe if we can go ahead and do the purchase today, we can get this out from underneath Miss Lexington's nose, and I'm sure Mr. Starkweather would just love to hear that.
Well, I'm sure you're right. So what we're gonna do is that little airplane, that little paper airplane you got over there.
Yeah,
that's what Miss Lexington reserved. This one, sweetheart, that goes to us. So we're going to go ahead and take this, and then you're going to figure out how much of a discount you're going to give us because you screwed up and landed a plane in the Hudson. So,
oh no, it wasn't me, Miss Carter. I didn't do it. He's like, he looks and points over at this poor hapless guy who is still like soaking wet. Like he's just changing his clothes, but he's like winging, he's like combing the wet wax because they wear hair wax back then. He's combing like the wet wax out of his hair, and he's like flicking the comb, kind of a deal. But he's just got some dry clothes on, but he's in basically like like dungarees and like a tank top because it is hot. But he got into a pair of dry pants and wearing like the wife beater tank top, I guess you want to call him. But he's wearing one of those, and he's like he looks at you and he goes, Miss Carter, sorry to meet under such unfortunate circumstances there.
And I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Ralph DeWitt.
Ralph DeWitt. Oh, Ralph
Yeah.
DeWitt. I'm not sure how you got your pilot's license, sir, but I believe it needs to be revoked. So,
Dick Simmons was telling me I was right on
I don't
course.
think there was licenses for pilots back then.
You just jumped in and went. Exactly.
whatever.
License. But anyway, yeah. He is kind of like a scruffy looking sort of a guy, kind of gaunt is what I would describe him as. Here he is like in his Arctic gear. You can imagine what he looks like in the summer with again like a tank top and just like woolen slacks on. But yeah, kind of a rough looking guy. But another younger, like more put together kind of guy comes over and introduces himself to you. He introduces himself as Douglas Halperin, and he says he's like again, sorry about the unfortunate way we've got together here. He's much more smoother than Mr. DeWitt than Ralph is. Ralph is just kind of down on himself because he did just ditch a plane. And I mean, feels kind of bad about it. And yeah, the Halperin's much more smoother, but a kind of a guy, much more calmer, and he's definitely wanting the let's just I know things are bad, but we're going to work this out. He says I've already been talking with Miles over here, and Miles is talking with the people here at the service here, and they are going to arrange for us to take that other plane since it hasn't been purchased yet. He says we're definitely making our moves for that. He says we did want somebody with a little more authority to confirm the purchase, and we wanted to wait and talk it over with you. And I think you're in agreement to definitely get the other plane, purchase that. Do you think we should discuss this with Mr. Starkweather or Mr. Moore before we say yes to the people here in Trenton?
I'll kind of glance back at Fred and just see if he makes any expression.
He kind of like leans over. So, you want me to take a few of these guys out?
Well, I mean, do you think they would be missed? I mean, this guy's really scrawny. So
I mean, and I say that
nobody.
loud enough. I say that totally loud enough so that they can hear me.
They're really nervous now. All of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, we're here to help you. Whatever you need to get done, we'll help you get done. We just need to know how you wanted to go through with this."
So we are going to proceed, take the better plane, and you are going to call Mr. Starkweather, and you're going to tell him that Ralph here flew his Boeing into the Hudson, and I'll sit here and I'll watch you make that phone call.
Okay. And so he's so Miles just grins ear to ear, and looks back at Halperin and DeWitt as DeWitt just like hangs his head. He's like, "Oh, I guess it's on me." Then he goes to the phone, the stand-up phones where you put the earpiece to you and you dial in kind of a deal. And
the anticipation, like, is there sweat coming off as
I
the
know,
rotary goes around?
Exactly. It's like, operator, connect me with the Amherst Hotel. He looks at the rest of you two. It's Amherst, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
the Amherst. 15th floor, please, Mr. Starkweather. Yes, and he's talking with him. He goes, and he tells him what's going on. And it's a very long, uncomfortable silence. He's like, "I know, Mr. Starkweather. I think the gauges weren't right. Anyway, I mean, it directed me right out there. I'm glad we found this out before we got out to the Antarctic. We had a faulty plane." He's like, yes, I know the plane was faulty. I was flying just fine. Everything was fine. I was just following the directions of the instruments. Yes, Mr. Starkweather. You want to get both? Okay, we'll get both. And he's like, and he hangs up. He says, "Let's go." He said, "Let's get both." So he doesn't. So he says he found out that Miss Lexington was after the Delta. So let's go ahead and get both. He said, "Let's go ahead and get both of them." He said, we can fly those other two back, and the other plane's small enough to get loaded on a truck and get driven over.
Oh, honey, Ralph's not going to fly anything. Like, I think I can take over Ralph's job. It's okay.
Ralph is grounded. All right. So they're making arrangements to for you guys, for the Fairchild, basically the smaller plane, the scout plane, the Fairchild, to get packed up on a truck.
I just want to mention, I love how both pictures look like they're puppies about to be scolded.
I know, right? I know. This is a complete improv moment. It's not even in the script, but I'm like, that's just perfect. But
and Maxine, after I hear this story, I'm going to say you may want to check out all your instrumentation on those planes, just to make sure there isn't some sabotage by one of the other expeditions.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is definitely happening.
So are you flying back in one of the bigger Boeing? The Boeing's the bigger one. It's like a twin engine. It's a 12-passenger plane. It's meant to carry all the personnel. Where like the Delta, that much bulkier sort of monoplane, it's like a cargo plane. It's meant to carry like dogs and drills and equipment and stuff like that. Which one are you wanting to fly back?
So I'll take a look over the cargo plane. So the Delta, I guess.
I got it. Yeah, the Northrop Delta. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
This is a fairly brand new plane, actually, just made this year. It has kind of a unique sort of design, like the pilot sits under a canopy atop the fuselage.
Oh God.
It does allow 8 passengers to be carried, but it's mostly set for cargo. And again, it does have like the skis and stuff on it for like landing on ice and stuff like that. It does have a Wright Cyclone 9 air cooled plane, so it doesn't have to rely on like like water radiator cooled stuff. It makes a much lighter aircraft, but it is extremely sturdy and seems like ideal for the Arctic sort of conditions that you guys are going to be on. It won't have as high a ceiling as some of the other planes, like the Boeing or the Fairchild.
I won't notice.
But,
it's okay.
Yeah, it won't as high as I mean flight ceiling. I'm sorry, won't as high as a flight ceiling as the others. But again, it's made mostly to move equipment. That's going to be its job. It's going to be like the flying truck. So are you wanting to fly that?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to fly. I want to take a look over because you said it looked like it had been modified.
Yeah. Like you can definitely see where it's already been modified for cold weather. There's a lot of cowling and stuff over vents and stuff like that would deflect ice and things like that. Yeah, it's definitely already looks like it's had some modifications. Like, when she comes here tomorrow, she can be totally pissed. This plane is gone. It's a fast plane. It's actually one of the fastest planes in the group. Its cruise speed is about 190 miles an hour. Empty can go about 220, so it clocks a pretty good clip. Like the Delta maxes out at about, the Boeing maxes out at about 200 miles an hour, and its cruise speed is 170. But it's a much bigger plane, even with the two engines. When you're driving in this, it's kind of, when you're getting in behind the seat, it's kind of like going from a small car, to like a heavy duty pickup. Like everything's very bulky and industrial and thick. Just by the look. Yeah, just by the look of the plane, you're like, this is a sturdy craft. So yeah, you guys take off from there. Make me you guys are loading up and flying in closer into New York City, and to get this just this quick little hop. It's basically just kind of get a good test. You can probably do a couple laps around the Statue of Liberty, kind of deal like that. Kind of got to get a feel for the equipment. So yeah, make your pilot rolls, please, and I'll have my other guys make our pilot rolls as we fly in.
So I got a 29 out of 60, so that's a hard success.
Got it. Yeah. Excellent. Another guy, not Ralph, but the other guy. He's doing well. I guess Ralph is sitting co-pilot with you.
No, I'll let Fred sit in the co-pilot seat. I trust Fred more than I do Ralph right now.
you're getting the back, Ralph. Oh my God. You get in the back. Make sure everything's going to be all right for the dogs.
But
you will have to tell Fred what to push.
Nice.
Fred has 0.
This lever goes all the way down. But Douglas is flying the other one, and he's competent. He knows what he's doing, and basically he is ghosting around behind you in the bigger Boeing. And then the planes handle fine and nice, and everything seems to check out, 5x5. So you make a landing over, actually kind of make an improv landing over at like a train yard that has like a flat enough area close to the docks to get these on a couple flatbeds, so you don't have to go through a lot of city streets and stuff like that out to the docks. But you land like a little flat area, like in a train yard, to get these loaded up on a couple big flatbed trucks and shipped out there. So to get that done, yeah, you start to fold up the wings and all that stuff and get everything going there. Fred, if you want to make some operate heavy machinery rolls along with Miles to get the planes ready.
Sounds good. All right. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
So,
how's the water in the Hudson?
Going to, how do you do luck?
You can spend a point for a point. You can spend a point of luck to improve the die roll by 1.
Okay. So
or you can push the roll.
I have not marked my luck. How do we do luck?
3d6, multiply it by 5.
I'll do that real quick.
Not a problem.
3d6.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Now I have to math it. So 13
65
times. Ooh, good job. You are great with math.
I know. I've just made a shitload of Call of Cthulhu characters.
That is awesome.
And killed every single one.
All right. So
He still hears their screams at night.
I'm at an 80, so I'm gonna have to. My operate heavy machinery is a 70. One of the things that I actually do really well with Fred, but he had a bad day, I guess.
I
So
guess he was. Yeah, that's it.
he's gonna
You're not used to
spend.
operating his crane. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to um
Spend 10 points of luck
spend
and hit it with the sledgehammer.
exactly. Yep, that's what he's gonna do.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, you about introduce the one of the aircraft to the cab of the truck, but you stop the crane just in time and just kind of, and then you drop it under the deck, like make it look like you kind of planned it, but kind of deal like that. Maxine probably gives you a little side eye. Thank God. Messing with my planes,
Yeah, it's fine.
it's totally
It's fine. Totally fine.
Miles is over there like he's like, just set it down, set it down. He starts to strapping the planes over down. And so yeah, you guys spend some time getting them stowed away in the actual large cargo holds of the trucks of the ship. So you go into the Gabrielle, and it is a rather large ship. Of course, it's going to need to be to keep taking you guys, or to get you guys where you need to go. But it's moored there at the docks, and you get over there with kind of like riding in the cabs of the trucks. There's like a whole slew of trucks that are going along with you, because you're not only taking the planes, but like the aircraft fuel and stuff that goes with the planes, the gas, barrels and barrels of gas. It's going to go on that, go on the boat with you, start to learn, pack all them on there. But yeah, you get everything sort of squared away and set up on the ship. Get everything together there. So yeah, that's done without too much trouble. There is like a desk clerk there at the docks that kind of checks you all in. His name is Smitty. He's kind of a thin, solid fellow. Has black hair, but fairly clean shaven. Very young. He looks like maybe 17, 18. He might have lied about his age to get this job. Honest with you, but yeah, he checks over your all's paperwork and everything. He's like, he says, "Here you go, pal." He says everything's set. You're ready to go. Get you all out towards the Gabrielle, and its bow is facing out, ready to go. To get loaded up and everything. So you get everything loaded on there, no problem. No problem. So let's move on towards what was our next job? Was the instruments and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Betty, I know you were needing to go.
At 8, yeah.
Yeah. So you're welcome to hang on with us, but if you want to go ahead and dip, that is completely fine. I am recording this, so but I just want to make sure we kind of got Maxine's time through with her big kind of moment there at the airfield when they get that out of the way. But yeah, it's sort of a similar thing when you're checking on the instruments and stuff there. Professor Patterson, and was it Jason that went? Patterson and Jason?
No, it was Oliver and Jason.
And,
Oliver. Why do I keep saying it? Yeah. Oliver and
actually,
Jason.
both of my characters were there also.
Okay. So yeah, basically like that, you're kind of meeting up with Maxine and them at the docks. You've already been there. Like your stuff is there on the docks waiting to get loaded, but you basically just kind of have to go through all the crates and check it out and make sure everything's cool, and make sure everything's good before it gets packed onto the actual boat, the Gabrielle, the ship. So yeah. What would be the roles that I'm looking for here? This would kind of be operate heavy machinery. and it would also be, I guess, just spot hidden, just to basically look over the instruments and see if anything's broken or out of order.
They're all fine. And I made my heavy machinery.
I didn't notice anything wrong with my spot hiddens.
No, there were nothing. Everything's fine.
Yep.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
I mean, the
Perfect.
crate's not damaged. What could possibly be wrong?
so you pull up actually pull up some of the crates and stuff and look in, go through the straw and stuff, the big wooden crates, and go through the straw. All the beakers are still intact, and the seismology reading equipment is good to go. Making sure all that's set. You are missing a good amount of equipment, though. There is some. It's like 3/4 here. Like, it's not, even though it's marked as all here on the check sheet. When you're looking at it on the dock, it's not all here.
I turned to one of whichever longshoreman is involved in this, and it's like, who's the person that's supposed to be checking off these sheets here?
And he goes over and he says, he looks at Sykes and he goes, hey, Sykes, what's going on over here? So these guys need you over here. So Sykes comes running over. He has like a kind of dark, slick back, brown, dark brown hair, pretty good profile, square jaw kind of deal. Well put together, powerful looking kind of guy. Looks like he's moved around boxes a lot, and he's coming up and he's like, well, what are you talking about? What's going on?
We noticed the inventory doesn't match up. There's some crates missing. Are they another part of the ship, or they haven't been brought over yet? What?
And he's looking at the clipboard with you with all the papers. There's like 15 papers on here, all the different things that you're supposed to have. And I mean, just kind of give you like a glimpse of like one of the inventories is that's just like a sample of some of the inventory. Not even you're looking at, but just like some of the general stuff that you're looking over. But yeah, he's looking through all the different things, and he's like, yeah, there's a lot of different stuff missing here.
Yeah, I noticed the meteorological equipment hasn't shown up yet, and it says 32 telephone batteries. I'm only seeing 16.
Yeah. And he's looking at a lot of the stuff, and he goes, well, that's odd because we checked it in and it was all here. He's like looking around some of the people on the docks. He's like, wonder, but why would they take? Maybe somebody walked off the docks with him, but why would they take this kind of stuff? I don't understand. So Sykes is looking around. He's not understanding what's going on.
Okay, well, Sykes, I understand there's always a little bit of stuff that disappears. Stuff gets broke. They fall off the back of the truck.
Whatever.
Yeah, but
back in the 20s and the 30s, that was true.
And which is why in the future they'll have these huge crates with locks on them that keeps people from doing that.
Yeah, but now the crate can come off the wheel. The crate can come off the wheels. So.
Yeah, he says, I think that's kind of what the issue is. Like, this stuff's been sitting on the docks here for a few days, and I think once we get it on the boat, it'll be much more secure.
Well, we hope so, but
there's only one way in, and there's only one main gangplank. That's
are y'all gonna be able to replace the stuff that y'all allowed to disappear?
Oh yeah. This is fairly common stuff. Like we can go to ESU or something like that and get this stuff. Well, he's looking over
We'll
the
need to
manifest.
check it out before you bring it on the ship.
Oh, sure.
Oliver, what do you what do you want to say? You had something you wanted to say about the radio equipment or anything, or?
Oh yeah, I should really check out that radio equipment.
Yeah.
That would be a big focus. Totally forgot about that part. Now what? I'm guessing. I am looking at the right character sheet.
Be like electrical repair, or you could.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. All right, electrical repair. Yeah, fine. Oh no, I rolled a 65. Good thing I got a 75.
I was gonna say. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It looks everything there looks fine. It was in some fairly secure crates and boxes, and you're checking that over, and everything seems okay there.
It's also stuff probably that can't be sold at the flea market or the back street that easily.
A little harder to sell that kind of stuff.
Meanwhile, we're totally out of beans. I don't know why we're totally out of beans, but we're totally out of beans.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you're finding like all kinds of fun stuff like that. When you actually are loading this stuff into the cargo hold, getting everything put away in there, and getting it strapped in tight and safe. Like the delicate instruments do. You're looking over the rest of the cargo just to be sure, of things. And there's supposed to be like 15 like 1 gallon cans of sardines, and you got like 15 1-gallon cans of sardine oil.
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
So we'll make a suggestion to Starkweather. We do a major review of the inventory.
Absolutely. So while I guess the rest of the people are arriving on the ship as well, because they need to get the dog cages and stuff looked into. I know Betty's other character was looking into that as well. Was somebody else having a hand in that? Was it George, or I can't remember who else was having a hand in that.
I think George was working with kind of some of the. Yeah, I don't remember honestly what George was doing.
Well, you're like one of the survival experts, but yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, you could probably
he'd be more than happy to help out or something like that.
So okay, so I'm trying
actually,
to
So
Max, Betty's other character is and you are kind of looking over the cargo hold and taking some measurements and stuff like that of the crates and the and the areas where it's supposed where the dog cages are supposed to be, and all that fun stuff. What kind of role am I wanting to make here? I guess like a spot hidden. Yeah, for want of a better word, I'll roll for Betty.
Okay.
If you want to roll.
Yeah, that's not an area of expertise for George. But he will give it a shot.
Sure.
That will be a big no.
That's all right. So you're holding like the he's got his character having you hold the put down this end of the tape while he reads out where the actual tape is. Gets the actual measurements.
Yeah, I mean, George in this kind of case, he doesn't really know what to do, so he's just looking for another person to tell him what to do. He really doesn't like touching any of these things. So he's kind of like he almost kind of wants to get his handkerchief out and like make sure he has gloves on, and he's not very. He's kind of like a fish out of water when it comes to stuff like this.
That's fair. No, it's fine. And again, the other Betty's other character is very much of like, you just hold this over here against that wall, and I'll run this to the other end. And we'll get the measurements and stuff set out here. And he's measuring the boxes, the actual crates, and he's like, well, this isn't right either. He's like, if we're going to set these in here like it says, we're going to need like an extra 2 inches. That's just not here. It's like there's like these metal racks,
Mhm.
you know, that the cages are going to go into, and it's the clearance is fine, but it's the width kind of a deal. It's 2 inches too shallow for the whole stream of cages to go in.
Right.
One of the dog cages is either we need to make one of the dog cages 2 inches shorter, or we need to find some way to get another 2 inches out of these racks. So just kind of hemming and hawing over that with you guys, and kind of stumped. And he hollers at you guys, you know, hey, bigwigs, what do you guys think? You know, and you know, you science types.
So,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Why don't you just hire, Professor Patterson's like, yeah, talk to the ship's engineer. Have him unweld the rack and move it up 2 inches. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, the clearance is fine. It's the width that's the problem.
Well, they can move it that way. I mean, it's just welded iron.
Yeah,
It's not a bulkhead.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, yeah, Betty's character is like, yeah, I'll talk to the mechanic on the ship about that. Maybe I can get something worked out here with Miles too. He goes, yeah, we'll be spending the evening doing that. Yay! Instead of going to the Stork Club, we'll be unwelding racks and extending them and rewelding them again. So, again, it's just a bunch of little bumps, series of little bumps. Nothing major, except for maybe the other ship, the other plane. But you guys recover from that fairly easily. But nothing.
Is there anything that would lead us to believe there is sabotage going on, or is it more just a normal wear and tear on any expedition? A little thing goes wrong here, or a little thing goes wrong there.
I mean, you want to say you're wanting to just stop just short of sabotage, but it's like everything, it's kind of all adding up together. It could be some sabotage going on because it is like some very specific, like you said, like the meteorological equipment and stuff like that. Stuff that again, who would sell that on the flea market? Who's walking off of that? And did somebody actually sabotage the instruments on the plane? Nobody realized that the measurements on the dog cages and the inside of the hold's not going to work out before they brought the dog cages on. That kind of stuff. It's kind of could be, but could be sabotage. Could be.
And where is Miss Lexington? And when is her expedition leaving?
Her expedition is scheduled to leave like the week before yours. But you've definitely thrown a monkey wrench in her plans by taking the other plane. So she isn't aware of that. She won't be getting the actual plane until tomorrow. But yeah, good question. Yeah, excellent question. Yeah, her timeline has her leaving. Yeah, a full week ahead of you guys.
Damn.
But again, with the plane being gone, that could definitely delay her some.
So, Professor Patterson, do you think we should recommend that they hire some security for the ship to keep a better eye on her stuff?
Yeah. And Oliver pipes up. Usually a ship has ship's watch. It's not like they, ever leave it unoccupied. I don't understand why they're not watching over stuff.
Yeah, I mean, on the ship, it's different. They definitely have eyes and stuff on the ship. On the docks where this stuff was, not so much. Yeah. So again, could it be sabotage? Could it be stuff? People just walking away with boxes and doing the 1930s version of porch pirating. Possibly. But it's like they walked away with some weather balloons and stuff.
Let me ask this question. I mean, I know some of this was freighted in, so it came by truck and train and whatnot. Was any of the equipment missing mailed?
No, everything was shipped over here on trucks and stuff like that. And again, everything was counted for here, or at least that's what Sykes says he done.
Well, yeah, and I get that, but the reason I'm asking is, back in the day, I mean, they used to deliver kids. The post office used to deliver kids.
Yeah.
They deliver for Sears and Roebucks, including prefab houses.
Yeah.
And you can actually get a monkey in the mail too, a pet monkey.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't go that far down the wormhole, but
Advertised in comic books, so
nice. I thought you meant like sea monkeys, but yeah, that was lame.
yeah. Anyway, that's why I was asking if any of it came in by mail, because then you can kick it back to the post office, because that's a theft of mail.
That's true. Yeah.
And then you get into the federal level.
Yeah. I mean, some of it I imagine would have been mailed, like some of the stuff from Miskatonic. Some of the scientific equipment from Miskatonic. Yeah, that definitely would have come in through the mail, so they can backtrack through that and at least get that kind of bureaucracy machinery rolling.
Yeah, basically, I want an investigation because I don't feel I can do an investigation with my talents and being a fish out of water in New York City.
Got it.
Patrick says,
Yeah.
Well, can we get an agency to help us? I heard about the one Richard Benson, and then there's a guy up on the 81st floor of the Empire State Building. They usually help, in things like that.
Striking man. Striking man.
Who's saying this, Rick?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah. I read about him in his story, so I'm sure it's based on some truth there.
And everyone else is looking at you and Askins going, story. What kind of life have you led?
So the stories go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, yeah, I spend, up to, like around dinner time getting that done. Of course, a lot of the other people that are going to be on the ship doing the actual work on the welds and stuff like that will be working much later. But you guys basically, spend the rest of the evening having a fine meal in one of New York's finer establishments. Maybe having a little bit of nightlife. Not too much, though, because, you got to pick up the Commander Douglas in the morning, or at least Oliver does.
Yes.
Do any of the other groups, George or Fred or Jason or Patrick, want to go with Oliver to pick up this guy? I mean, he is pretty famous. He's again, he's the one who was the captain of the Arkham on the first expedition. So yeah.
Sure, Jake, we'll go.
Yep.
Excellent.
See more of the Big Apple, as they call it.
Excellent. So yeah.
And before I go to bed, I get some stencils out of engineering or whatever, and I make a lovely placard to pick them up in, and appropriate colors and all this other stuff.
Commander Douglas.
And Patrick says, and Oliver, can we go by the spot where the King Kong fell off the Empire State Building?
Oh my God!
I assume they have a plaque or something. Huh?
What books are you reading? Weird Science? Weird
It was
Tales?
a book. It was a movie. I saw it in Fairbanks.
It came out a few months ago.
That's true.
Well, I, who have seen live theater, lean over to you and in a stage whisper say, "Movies aren't real."
It's not an art. He's like, but it is. It's right there on the screen. But yeah. So yeah, you guys spend a little time, on time. Not too. You had a big day already, you basically have a fine meal. Don't really go out and catch any shows or anything like that. Again, you got to
No,
get up
but with
early.
every drink and every steak that I down, I say it's doctor's orders.
Yeah, exactly.
Professor
I'm on
Patterson is right on it.
He told me I got to put on weight, right? And probably in the 30s, you probably did have to put on weight.
Well, no, this is fine beef, which we're not going to have for the next few months.
Exactly.
Just saying.
You think going back looking at all those cans of sardine oil and the whole time.
Did you see any celebrities while we're out eating?
Probably so. Yeah, make me your luck rolls.
No. And no.
Nice.
I rolled a 98 and then a 97. I mean,
So,
it's
yeah.
just like, really.
Yeah, actually, I did make one.
Even if they're there, I don't see them.
Patrick saw somebody that he recognizes.
Okay. So give me just a second here. Was it Patrick?
Yeah.
That would be the usher at the movie theater.
So
aside from the jokes he's making about stuff isn't real, he actually has met a couple of Hollywood movie stars.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. You're we're at the restaurant and you make get up from the table to go to the bathroom, something like that, into the washroom. And of course, it's one of those nice washrooms where they have an attendant that hands you the towel and stuff like that. But
and Patrick's going, am I supposed to do this or?
he points to the stall. He says, "You go take care of that." But when you come back, you get one of these. He's
remember, this guy's in North Dakota and Canada.
Yeah. He's like, you gotta lift your own heavy equipment there, sir. But do
I need to roll for that?
Exactly. No. Make a strength check. Doc said
heavy machinery, but yeah.
Doc said I shouldn't lift anything heavy. I don't know. He just said that in the examination. But you're like at the stalls and you look over and there's a really tall kind of guy with dark hair, very very suave kind of guy with a big grin. He's in his top and tails, kind of thing, but looks like that. He's there doing his thing he's like, oh, hey Patrick, how you been, man? It's been forever since I've seen you.
Well, hey Clark, yeah, I had a good time up in Alaska. How's Charlie Chaplin and Greta Garbo doing?
They're doing well. They're doing well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm getting ready to head back out there and do another picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you remembered me. It makes me feel good.
Oh, no problem. And he goes to shake your hand and he looks down at what he's doing. He's like, I'll catch you later. That kind of a deal. And so he steps out a little bit after that. But yeah, other than that, other than the chance encounter with Clark, everything else kind of goes uneventful for that night. You get up in the morning, get ready to go pick up Oliver's hero there, Commander J.B. Douglas. Why is he your hero? Did you want to get into that, or we need to develop that?
We need to develop that.
Not a problem. Definitely not a problem. So yeah.
I didn't know who my hero was until today.
That's true. I should have told you more about that before we got to that, but we're here now. But but yeah, you're getting ready, having your breakfast and stuff like that, and the paper's sent up, and you're reading over the paper, and it looks like Starkweather's already made the announcement about what's going to go on. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Where am I at? Where am I at? Ah, there it is. But yeah, so he's already made the announcement. We'll have to jump that up to the end Yeah, this is like September 3rd. Commander Douglas he's made the announcement. Commander Douglas is going to join the expedition. Um, again, he's the master of the ship that was the Arkham. Commander Douglas is going to be an invaluable addition to the expedition. Starkweather says not only does he have personal knowledge of many of the dangers and hazards of the South Pole, but he's an accomplished explorer and adventurer. The expedition will benefit greatly from his experience in the harsher climes and his keen inquiring mind. I look forward to providing this country's most noteworthy scientists with a means to enrich our understanding of the natural world. Douglas, a 25-year veteran of the Merchant Marines, was sailing master of the Arkham in its 1930 voyage to the Antarctic with the now famous Miskatonic expedition. He retired from the sea from 1932. Commander Douglas could not be reached for comment. Starkweather's promised interviews with the commander beginning on September 7th by appointment. So you guys are going to be picking him up.
I figure I sailed with him before he went on the expedition.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Yeah. So you served with him. He might not know you, but you definitely remember him. Is that what you think?
No, I was in radios. He knew who I was because anything he got.
Yeah. He even know who you were then. Yeah, definitely. If you're in radios, yeah. It's not like you were down there stuffing coal in the engines. He even know who you were. Exactly. All right. So you get that, and then you're reading back over, the rest of the newspapers and stuff like that. But you're supposed to be picking him up at Grand Central,
right
in the morning. Like he's going to be coming in on the 9:05. So you guys get ready get ready to go pick him up. I forget the names I know they had specific names of great trains that were back then, but it's escaping me what they were. I think they had like an Empire or something like that, or the actual like a train called the Grand Central or something. But anyway, you're going to go pick him up at the train station. He comes in. You meet him, where you're supposed to. It's a very, it's Grand Central Station, of course. It's a completely huge building, just jam packed with all kinds of people and all walks of life. What was the saying back then? Like, if you stood in Grand Central long enough, you would meet everybody that you ever met in your life, or something like that. Something to that effect. I believe that was the saying.
Something like that.
Something to that effect. But yeah, big, huge, beautiful building, especially of its time. Very, very grand. Very, very jam full of people. But yeah, you're going to go wait for him at the station. So this might be a bit of a problem for some characters, like maybe, what was it, Fred? maybe Fred. Like that many people at the station, all jammed and hustling and bustling, trying to get the trains and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, Fred would have a direction that he's going, and then he just expects people to like part for him.
Got it.
Because he would just kind of walk through them whenever possible.
Got it. All right.
That's for me at most concerts.
Got it. So you go to meet Commander Douglas, and he steps off the train. And he has a steamer trunk of things behind him, packed by one of the people on the station. On those big dollies that they had back then, those big huge wooden dollies, which were wonderful. Yeah, he comes along, and he does recognize you in the crowd, through there. And you have your placard and stuff. And he's like, Smith, how are you been? It's been so long since I've seen you.
I've been great, Commander. Long time no see. I couldn't
Excellent.
make it with you on the first expedition. I made sure I was on the second.
You know what? I feel better knowing that you're going to be on this already. Is glad to see a familiar face. You're one of our best radio men. I am so glad to see that they got a crack person at the dials. Excellent. But yeah, he's got like the steamer trunk and stuff like that. He's like, do you all have a car or do we get a cab? How does this work? I don't know.
I'm assuming it's a cab.
Yeah. So you get like a cab kind of a deal. All right.
A couple of cabs, probably.
Yeah. yeah. Well,
Actually, they had some big cabs back there.
Yeah, some big cabs, and yeah, they would strap the trunk to the back. Back then, they had those big bumpers. But yeah, you would get, especially the ones that would be waiting at the train station.
I think you can stand on the riding boards.
You also riding on the running boards.
Yeah, running boards. That's it.
Yeah. It's probably actually a cooler ride in New York in August rather than riding in the actual cab. Just kind of hang on the side, let the wind hit you at that blistering.
Just to let you know, there was still horse-drawn cabs back then too.
Exactly. So yeah, you get all those wonderful smells that only New York can offer in August. So so you're loading the car and stuff like that, getting everything set, and he's like, so what hotel are we going to? Where are we going to be at?
15th floor of the Amherst.
15th floor of the Amherst. He goes, do you mind if I take a little detour before we go there?
Sure, no problem. I trust your navigation.
Pardon me. Make me some spot hiddens, please. Everybody, while we're out here doing our thing.
Jason made it.
Okay. Jason made it. How much? Was it a regular hard or regular?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's just like one of those movies, like an Indiana Jones movie or something like that. Like there's a guy like leaning up against a pillar, like reading a newspaper, but not reading a newspaper. He's facing your direction, and when you're looking at him, he's looking down at the newspaper, and then when you look away, he's looking back at you guys, kind of a deal.
Okay.
He's doing a really, really bad job of shadowing.
Let everyone else know. I think someone's following us. I kind of described the person.
He's
over my shoulder.
Very, very large guy. He's probably easily 6'2". Tipping the scales 250 easy. Big guy. Blonde hair.
Do you let Fred know this?
Yeah, I'm letting everybody know.
All right. Fred turns around and starts walking towards him.
Guy with the newspaper?
Yeah.
Okay. He's reading. He sees you walking, and he's like staying his eyes to the newspaper.
He kind of walks up to him. Says, "Do you want a closer look?"
He pulls his newspaper down, looks at you kind of quizzically and stuff like that, and he's like, "Unglaublich, wo magst du?" Do you have German as a second language?
No. Let me think. Fred. What? You American? Speak English?
Nine is minor Connor.
What? I don't care if you have 9 friends. That's fine. I don't see where any of them are.
They're
not going to help you.
he steps his way and he throws the newspaper down in the street, like in disgust in front of you. He's like, "Oh, Scheiße covered." walking away. He just walks like stomps away from you.
Well, you go have a good day too.
All right. So yeah, he goes stomping away. He's straightening his hat. He's got like a little fedora kind of a deal with like a tighter brim than most. Yeah, he sets it down over his eyes and he's stomping away. And the newspapers just kind of drifting along in pieces along the street.
Yeah,
because
he walks back to everybody. There's some guy from Europe. He sounded Scottish or something.
Well, what did he say?
I have no idea.
Oh, he spoke in a foreign language?
Yeah, Scottish or something.
Something. Yeah.
Was he reading an American newspaper written in English?
He is reading the Times. He was reading the Times, or looked like they was reading the Times.
Yeah, he
Fred,
was reading the paper. I don't know.
Were you in the war overseas?
No,
Oh, I thought you were. Okay.
he wasn't. George was in the Navy, but it was a little bit, but not
I
back
just got
in.
the characters mixed up there.
Yeah.
This guy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
Okay.
Yep.
Has the guy disappeared?
Basically, he kind of just stomps away and melts into the crowd. Unless you're leaving like the commander at the cab. Yeah.
Well, let's keep an eye out. A lot of strange things are happening, and I fill the commander in on the shortages of materials and that we got to get made up, and issues with the dog pins. Got it.
So yeah, he as he gets in, you guys are getting ready, to tell the cabbie to go to the Amherst, and he looks at the cabbie and says, "Westbury Hotel, my good man." And the cabbie looks back at you guys. He goes, "All right," and he hits the fare thing and turns the car around in like the 8 lanes of a street in New York at Grand Central and heads out towards the Westbury. So yeah, you're filling him in with the information, and the captain's like nodding and stuff, and he goes, yeah, and he looks like he's completely unfocused on what you're saying. Like you're talking to him, but you're not sure he's catching everything.
Why were we heading to the Westbury for?
He goes, I've got to see a friend there that I told I'd drop in on when I got into town.
Okay.
But I'll just be a few minutes. I'll be right back. And
Would you like one of us to accompany you?
No,
things are looking a little suspicious. Just want to make sure everybody stays safe.
I understand. No, it's probably best I go on my own. And he goes, and you head up to you drive up to this end of town, and you're automatically like nervous, like it's like wrong in a town. You're like, you definitely see here the buildings are in more disrepair. And the Westbury is not what you would choose as one of your a place you would stay in.
House?
Exactly. The Westbury Hotel. Yeah. Calling it a hotel is a stretch. But yeah. He says, "You guys just wait right here. Keep the meter running. I'll be right back. It shouldn't be more than 10 minutes." And you head up that. He heads up the steps that way. Like he knows exactly where he's going. He's going right up the steps into the lobby and stuff like that.
Patrick says, "Hey, Fred, you want us to follow him, make sure he's okay? That's kind of seedy here."
Yeah, I'll follow up.
Patrick,
Okay.
Fred are going, I guess.
Okay.
I guess I'll stay here in the cab.
So you're in the cab. Watch your trunk.
Someone had to.
Thank God. All right. So yeah, you guys both get out of the cab.
Yeah, Jason is still with you.
Yeah. So you two are getting out of the cab, saying, "Hey, you wait here. Are you guys both going in the front door? I take. So you only see like the main front door.
Yeah.
So you guys get across the street, go across the street, basically up to the hotel, and start going up the 3-stair stoop. And just as soon as you get a hold of the door to pull open the door, you hear pow 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 like gunshots, three gunshots, and that's where we'll stop this game for tonight.
Ooh.
Oh, how clever!
Well, were the gunshots inside the hotel?
Inside the hotel, yeah, inside
Okay.
the hotel. Pow pow pow.
The
Yeah,
shots were, but where are the bullets?
yeah. Where the bullets-
That's the question.
And shots are fine. Where are they going? All right. Thank you guys for playing with me, getting this session 1 off and going. Thank you everybody who's going to be watching this throughout our campaign. We're looking forward to a lot of fun getting this together. This was more of an introductory, sort of getting to know each other kind of stuff, and we'll be doing more of that as we have other players and crewmen going on board. But I wanted to thank you all for playing with me tonight. We'll carry on.
Good.
Thank you
Excellent.
for running.
All right.
Thanks for running. It was a good game.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good time,
You
and
too.
we'll see y'all soon.
Sounds good. Bye.